I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, she's not sure that she wants to be in the relationship. Well, that's not a lot of fun having your girlfriend say something like that to you. I've got an email here from a viewer who actually had his girlfriend say that to him. What a quinky-dink. He says, "Hey Coach, I watched your video, How to Know If Your Girlfriend is Cheating on You. See, that's the thing. I don't see any of these signs with my girl. I think I'm honestly being a little paranoid and untrusting because of all of the different dating coaches' views and ideas I've been reading, and they're conflicting in my head and I don't know what to believe." Well, I guess it's a good thing that you found your way to my website and my videos, because now I can tell you the bottom line truth, the way it really is and what women really respond to. And if you start applying the things I teach, you'll see that they work for you. So he says, like example, my girlfriend told me at one point that she is unsure if she wants to be in a relationship, and yet her actions towards me say completely otherwise. She calls me and stuff. If anything, the only thing I notice that bothers me is she doesn't call me pet names and stuff, because I just asked her honestly how much she trusts me, and she said it's about average. That is a completely pointless question to ask a woman. And when you ask a woman questions like that, you're, in one way or another, you're basically communicating, I don't know where I stand with you. Do you really like me? Do you care about me? Because I don't know that you really do care about me. Why would you want to care about a guy like me? You're basically communicating in a subtle way that you don't think you deserve to be with her. And when you say things like that, when you're unsure of yourself, that's feminine energy. You're in essence acting like a woman in that particular moment. Men who are successful with women, we never think about things like this. We don't have any doubts because we can look at our girl and we can tell she's into us. We can look at her body language. We can look at her physiology. We can look at how she is in the bedroom, how affectionate she is, how much she calls us, all those things. We pay attention to all those little details because they're all really important. He says, I take into consideration that we've been together for just 4 months, and now seeing this and reading it, I know it sounds clingy, and that's why I check myself and do things to remain indifferent and to not act like a needy wuss bag. Like my girl hangs out with her crew of friends, usually mostly chicks, to be honest, because she's a girly girl. But the thing is, I never ask or care. I just let her do her thing. Yeah, you have to love in such a way that the other person feels free. And when you allow her to do that, you allow her to feel free. Because the thing that men and women are both afraid of is losing their freedom to be who they really are when they get involved with somebody or they get into a relationship. And when someone feels like that things aren't going well, or they're not going somewhere, or that you're trying to move things along too fast, that's when they start becoming unsure of where they stand. Why? It's like they become unsure when they're really sure. In other words, when they're sure of how you feel about them, and you spend a lot of time and you chase and you pursue, then they have you so much in their life, they're at the point where then they wonder, do they really want you? Or do they really feel something for you? And the thing I talk about all the time is that women fall in love slowly over time. And if you're always in her face and acting needy and doing things and asking her where you stand with her and stuff like that, those are serious questions. And men should not be asking questions like that. You don't see old movies with like Clint Eastwood or guys like Humphrey Bogart or Cary Grant. You don't see them asking women, go, gee, where do I stand with you? Where's this going? Are we going to get married someday? They just don't say shit like that. It's always the other way around. The women are always trying to get them to commit, trying to get them to be in a relationship, those kind of things. And that's the way you need to be. You got to understand, it's like a cake. A woman's level of sexual attraction and anticipation for you is like a cake. You got to go off about your life and live your purpose, make plans, make definite dates. So when you're in between seeing her and you got a date set up in the future, she's going to be thinking about you. She's going to be wondering about you. But if you're constantly talking to her, you're constantly blowing up her phone, or you're constantly in her face trying to move things along, that's when she gets to the point where she's like, I'm not really sure. It's because she has you so much. In essence, it's like human beings tend to not appreciate what they don't have to earn. And so in essence, when a woman gets uncertain like that, it's like she really hasn't had to earn your affection or your love. You just kind of gave it to her. And so therefore, it's kind of in a way, she's like, gee, I don't know if I really even want your love, or I even want to be with you. I don't even know if I want to be in a relationship. And when women get like that, it's because they're so certain. And that's why you've got to give them space and time. Go about your life so they can figure it out. Because after a couple of days or a few hours, when they haven't heard from you, those feelings just pass. And then she starts going, oh, I haven't heard from him. What are we doing? And that's when she picks up the phone and goes, hey, I was thinking about you. What are you up to, baby? Like, hey, sweetheart, how are you doing? Great to hear from you. I want to see you. When are you free to get together? And you just arrange the next date. But you're pursuing way too much in this case. And how do I know? I just look at what your girl is doing and what she's saying. And that's what that tells me. That's what's magical about this stuff. It's like, literally, men and women they're like programmed in a way. It's like, because we respond to what we respond to. And when you understand that stuff, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could be totally bullshitting me and making up all kinds of things. I just have to look at what your girl's doing and saying. And that tells me everything in relation to how you're showing up in your interactions with her. He says, one thing I see myself doing wrong, though, is that I talk to her every day, but it felt right being that we were long distance. Real talk. He says, I think I talk to her every day, but it felt right. He says, I think it is the love, listen to this, he says, I think it's the love making me act all dopey and insecure. He says, my well-informed side knows all this needy shit is lame and will drive her away, so chill out. But my really into her and I'm in love with her side feels so good because of her. Too good to the point, the fact I start acting dumb even when I already know better. I'm just tripping, I guess. No, you're just making stupid, unnecessary mistakes, and the bottom line is you can't ignore reality. I see this all the time. You got to make sure the girl's doing 70 to 80% of the calling, texting, and pursuing. And more than likely, you're probably doing 70 to 80% of the calling, texting, and pursuing, and so you're making it easier for her. Women are like cats. They got to be curious. They're more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear, and if you're calling her, blowing her up every day in her phone and sending her texts, she has no time to wonder about you. She has no space to be unsure of you. And I'm not talking about unsure how about you feel necessarily. I'm just talking about where she's not talking to you or she's wondering what you're up to or what you're doing. And when they become uncertain of where they are or where they stand or what you're up to, when they're thinking about you and their emotions are engaged, that's when they call you and they reach out to you to see what's going on. And then when they do, then you just simply arrange a date to get together and then get off the phone. He says, the fact is, it's not like she's a cheater or really doesn't even want to be with me. I think it's more her not wanting to get too attached and hurt again. See, now you're rationalizing it away like, oh, it's nothing I did. Oh, that piece of shit over there, I didn't do that. It wasn't me. That ain't mine. He says, she's only 20 and just got out of a 4-year relationship, so she's kind of weary, you know? It's like, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how you treat her, and you're not treating her properly, and that's why she's acting this way. And you got to be realistic about that. You got to be objective about it, and you can't bullshit yourself. And you're doing a good job of it. He says, on one occasion she told me she's a flirt, but she won't go do it if she respects the relationship she is in, which she does. In other words, I would cheat on you in a fucking heartbeat if I ever got to the point where I didn't respect you and I didn't love you. And the way you're acting like a man who has no self-respect. And when you act like a man who has no self-respect and you let a woman kind of walk all over you and have your way, or you pretty much do everything for her, she won't love you because you don't stand up for yourself. If you're a guy who won't stand up for yourself, deep down she thinks, well, if I was ever in danger, physical danger, he won't even stand up for himself. I mean, how can I possibly expect him to stand up for me if I'm in physical danger? And that just makes a woman feel uncertain and wishy-washy about you and not trust your masculine core. He says, she also told me once that I am the most physically, emotionally, and sexually fulfilling man she has ever had in her life. And she tells other guys she has a man in me when they approach her. And so she says stuff like that. Well, you got to understand it. When she told you they were most physically, emotionally, and sexually fulfilling man, that was true in that moment when she said it. And that's the thing you got to remember about women, and I talk about this in my book, is that when they say things like that, it's just simply based upon how they're feeling in the moment. Now, if you've been totally fucking up ever since then, guys hear that once and they think that's like always going to be the standard. They don't realize that a woman's emotions fluctuate up and down. And so you got to realize is that was then, this is now. And the only thing that matters is how you're showing up today. Doesn't matter if that's how she felt about you a few weeks or a few months ago. It's really irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the present moment, because that's all a woman cares about. Because women know that if you're showing up and you're making the effort and you're taking the appropriate actions, that you actually care, despite what it is that you say, because they can see it in your actions that you mean what you say. It's really important to get that. He says, maybe I'm just thinking too deep into it. I don't want to be a guy who saw the signs of her not being sure if she wants to be in a relationship and just taking it as is. She's just really into me and wants to be with me, but she's just scared because she doesn't want to be hurt again. But that may actually be the case. I don't know. Like I said, it's all indicative of how you're showing up. So do you want to know the best way that I would go about it? If I were you, because you say you're long distance, so you're obviously not seeing her every day. Stop calling her. Stop texting her every fucking day. And the only time you call and text her is when you're responding to her. And just simply do it once a week. And what'll happen is more than likely after 2 or 3 days, if you're calling this girl every day and all of a sudden you stop and you haven't texted her for 2 or 3 days, she'll call you and go, hey, I haven't heard from you. What's up? Are you okay? Hey, baby, I just been jammed up. Sorry. It's great to hear from you. How are you? When are you free to get together? I miss you. I want to see you. And you just change the subject and you focus right in on arranging a date. And she'll make a date with you. I would assume if you're doing everything right. If she doesn't want to make a date with you, then you may have something more to worry about. But that's what I do. Stick to the once a week. Calling her once a week, chit chat, whatever. She'll probably call you. If you've been with this girl 4 months already, she'll probably start to call you when she doesn't hear from you if you're always making it so easy for her. And the good thing is this what it'll do is it'll cause her to start to be unsure because you're modifying your behavior, you're changing, you're not making as much of an effort. She'll notice those actions of yours. And because the idea is we want to get the ratio to 70 to 80%, meaning 70 to 80% of the calling, texting, and pursuing is all on her part, and she initiates it. And you only have to initiate it 20% of the time, if that. If you do everything right, and you treat the girl properly when you're with her, and especially after being with her for 4 months, you should be at the point where she's calling you a couple of times a day. And when that happens, you just simply arrange a date and a time for the two of you to get together. And that's it. And in between your texts, you can send a couple of texts back and forth. Oh, that's so sweet. I can't wait to see you Friday either, baby. I can't wait to see you next week, whenever it happens to be. You're going to get together. And then you leave the conversation. You always leave them wanting more. That's why people tune in to their favorite TV show every week, because there's always a cliffhanger at the end of the episode that creates some kind of emotional tension where you got to tune in and see what happens next week. Women want to have something to be curious about so they can just see what happens next, because they want a guy that they can't figure out. They want a guy that they're just not sure of, a guy that's mysterious. And by modifying your behavior a little bit and backing off a little bit, she'll notice that, she'll feel that, and that'll cause her to start moving forward and making more of an effort. And as she makes more of an effort, guess what? She starts to like you more. And that's because we want to get her to fall in love with you, head over heels in love with you, to the point where she won't leave you alone. That's what you want. That's where you want to get her to the point. But like I said, with pursuing too much and doing all that stuff you're doing, you're never going to get there by acting this way. So if you have a question that you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab, which will be on the left-hand side of your screen, and send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max. And just give me several days to get back to you with a response. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website, underneath the email sign-up box, is a box that has a link that'll take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page. Once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device already, on the right-hand side, there's a button you can click to download a free e-reader app for your smartphone, tablet device, or your computer. It only takes a matter of seconds to download and install the app and complete the purchase of my book. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, and my ebook, you can show your appreciation by going to my website right now, and on the will be a toolbar, which will be at the bottom of your screen, click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. I will talk to you soon.